This video is brought to you by Soundpeats. Soundpeats just announced the launch of the Opera05 and the Opera3. In this video, we'll be focusing on the big bro, the Opera5. These are their latest earbuds featuring Treble drivers and LDAC for high-res audio certification, and I'm here to give you a full rundown of all the features, and I'll also be sharing a bit of my own personal experience in using them over the past few weeks. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So first, let's start with the Bluetooth connection. So the Opera5 are featuring Bluetooth 5.3 with SBC and LDAC support for high-res audio. Now, these are fully compatible with both iOS and Android devices, and I tested them with an iPhone 14 Pro Max and an Asus Zenfone 9, so definitely compatible with both. Unfortunately, iOS does not support LDAC high-res, so this feature is only for Android users at this time. Now, when it comes to Bluetooth range, I was actually able to get about 38 feet or just about 11.5 meters. Now, obviously, that's always going to vary depending on how many walls or obstructions you put in between the earbuds and the device that they are connected to. Now, the Opera5 are also featuring single usage mode, and that's where you can use each earbud individually while the other one is charging in its case. And you also maintain the ability to use both active noise cancellation or transparency mode with only one earbud in use. So super handy. Personally, I like using transparency mode when I have just one earbud in. That way I can still maintain situational awareness. Now, when it comes to watching YouTube videos or Netflix or any of those services on your phone, there are no issues with lag or latency when it comes to the Opera5. Sadly, there is no low latency gaming mode here, so if that's a feature that you absolutely have to have, then you may want to go ahead and grab Soundpeats Mini Pro HS because those do feature a gaming mode. So now let's talk about the comfort of the Opera5. Now, the Opera5 are very similar in their shape to the Mini Pro HS. So let me go ahead and pull them out here so you can see both of them side by side. Except the Opera5 is sort of like a bigger brother. It's almost the same type of a design, but just on a larger scale. So you can see that right there. While these are very small, the Mini Pro HS, these are still a little bit on the bulkier side, but most of their bulk sits outside of your ear, so it's really no issue. Now, despite the bigger size, they are very light and comfortable for my own large ears. So far, I haven't experienced any sort of ear fatigue or any kind of discomfort in my own testing. But let me go ahead and put them in. This way you can see what they look like in my ears. So they do stick out a little bit, as you can see here, but they do fit me quite comfortably. Now, one of the questions that always comes up quite often is, are these earbuds good for working out? Do they have good grip? Now, grip is always going to be dependent, obviously, on your ears, but also on your tip choice. Now, they do come with some pretty decent tips, but I went ahead and swapped mine out for the Spinfit CP360. If you're interested in those, I will leave a link for them in the video description. Now, in the box, they did include 3 different tip sizes for the Opera5, and these ear tips are actually surprisingly good, but I still went ahead and used my own ear tips because I was getting a better seal out of the Spinfits. But overall, they're actually not bad. And one thing that I always have to stress in any of my earbud videos is to make sure that when you get a new set of earbuds, you try out all the different ear tip sizes to make sure that you're getting a proper seal. I can't tell you how many times people have come to me saying, hey man, these earbuds don't have any bass, and it's just because they didn't try the correct ear tips. Seal is everything. So yeah. And then lastly, the Opera5 also feature an IPX4 rating for sweat and splash resistance. So I probably wouldn't take these swimming, but if you're doing a workout and you might get a little sweat on them, not really going to be a problem. And then last but not least, when it comes to sleep, that's a question a lot of people ask me about their earbuds. Now, I would not recommend the Opera5 for sleeping because they do stick out quite a bit. It is going to depend on your ears though. If you're a back sleeper, not going to be a problem, but for side sleep, probably going to be a no-go. So now let's talk about the control scheme. The Opera5 are featuring responsive touch controls. They support single tap, double tap, and triple tap along with a long press. And the controls are easy to remember and very responsive in my testing. You can play pause, skip track forward, lower the volume or raise the volume, answer in phone calls, activate noise cancellation. So you've got a lot of options included right in that control scheme. But sadly, the only thing that they are missing is reverse track. Not sure if that was an oversight or what happened there, but hopefully this will be something that Soundpeats can add via a firmware update. Now, speaking of firmware updates, the Opera5 do feature Soundpeats App support, and this app is available for both iOS and Android users. So when you go ahead and open up this app, you're going to see Soundpeats Opera5, and then you see the battery life of the earbuds. Now, you go down here, and you click on that little button right there, and that's going to take you to the controls. See at the top, you've got your volume control. In here, you've got your Soundpeats EQ presets. You click in here and you have 9 different presets: classic, bass boost, bass reduction, electronica, etc., etc. My personal favorite though is the Soundpeats Classic. Now we go back, and below here you have your custom EQ, and this is a 10-band equalizer. You can get in there and make your own presets if that's what you want to do. Now below this you have your noise reduction, so you can have transparency mode, normal mode, or active noise cancellation. And below that you have the ability to disable your key one-click function. So basically if you're having any sort of accidental touches, you can actually turn off the single tap function. Totally up to you. But that's pretty much it as far as the app is concerned. Now, the Soundpeats app is simple and straightforward, so make sure you download the Soundpeats app so you can take full control over the Opera 5. But to be clear, you don't need the app to use these earbuds. The app simply lets you maximize the customizability built into these earbuds to give you the best possible experience. So now let's move over to the battery life of the Soundpeats Opera 5. Now, Soundpeats says that the Opera 5 can provide anywhere from 6 to 9 hours of playback on a single charge depending on which codec and features are in use. Using active noise cancellation and LDAC or both at the same time will definitely diminish your battery life, so keep that in mind when using these earbuds. And then the charging case itself can provide up to 33 hours worth of charge, also depending on which features you are using. And then charging the case itself does come via USB Type-C right there on the back. Now, two of the top features on these earbuds are going to be the active noise cancellation and the transparency mode. Now, the active noise cancellation actually works surprisingly well in my testing, and I normally test active noise cancellation by using 75 decibels of crowd noise and 85 decibels worth of airline cabin noise. And they actually perform quite well in both of those jobs. Better against the airline cabin noise than the crowd noise, but still surprisingly good, especially for something at this price. Now, the transparency mode also does a good job at bringing outside noises in so that you can maintain full situational awareness. Overall, the performance here of both modes was surprisingly good. So now let's talk about the sound volume. In my measurements, I actually was able to get 117.9 decibels of peak volume. So for me, comfortable listening comes at around 50 to 65%. So basically, these get very loud, and they're going to be more than loud enough for 95% of the people out there. So for volume, Opera 5, definitely going to have you covered. So now let's move over to the sound quality. But first, if you're getting any value out of this video so far, make sure you hit that subscribe button for me. It's free to you, but it helps me and the channel greatly. Highly appreciated. Now, Soundpeats, they took a slightly different approach with the hardware on the Opera 5. They opted for a hybrid triple driver setup consisting of a 12mm dynamic driver for bass and dual balanced armature drivers for mid-range and treble. That's why these earbuds are a little bit on the chunky side, because there's a lot of hardware going on in here. Now, these earbuds do have a sensitivity of 30 decibels at 1 kilohertz with a frequency range of 20 hertz all the way up to 40,000 kilohertz. Combining that hardware with high-res LDAC and good source audio definitely delivers an audio experience that can't be underestimated. And then the Soundpeats app also provides presets and EQ customization, but I personally prefer the way that these sounded right out of the box with the Soundpeats Classic, so that's how I did all of my testing. So let's go ahead and break it down. So first up, let's talk about the bass. Now, the Opera 5 are definitely bass head certified. These 12mm drivers can bring that thump and deliver serious sub-bass extension. Truly, truly impressive, but not surprising coming from Soundpeats. All of that without getting muddy or bloated in the mix. Definitely love that. Now, as part of my testing, I was listening to Loyalty by Kendrick Lamar, and that song can truly highlight that sub-bass if you want to go ahead and give it a listen for yourself. These truly deliver. Now, moving over to the mid-range, we have a warm mid-range here, but it still maintains a natural tone. Male vocals have good weight to them, and female vocals have presence without feeling dry. Now, listening to Is There Someone Else by The Weeknd truly showcases the Opera 5's ability to highlight vocals without succumbing to distortion. And then last but not least, we have the treble. Now, treble is bright and clear and airy. It's not harsh in my experience, especially considering that these have dual balanced armatures. Kind of surprising. Now, there is nice soundstage here, and it's surprisingly wide for a set of true wireless earbuds. Good stereo separation as well, and some pretty decent detail retrieval. Now, listening to Put On a Smile by Silk Sonic is a must with the Opera 5. You can easily pick out the different instruments around you, and they never get lost in the mix behind Bruno or Andy's vocals. So definitely a good experience for sound quality with the Opera 5. Now, if I have to give Soundpeats any sort of constructive criticism, firstly, it's going to be the fact that these do not have multi-point connectivity, so you can't connect them to two devices at the same time. Kind of surprising that we don't have that here, but it is what it is. Secondarily, there is no wireless charging with these guys. You can only charge them via USB Type-C. While that's not a deal breaker for me personally, I know for some people it might be. Third, we have no low latency mode, which is kind of surprising because we do have that on the Mini Pro HS, so kind of surprised that we didn't see that here. And then lastly, the fact that we don't have any customizable controls in the Soundpeats app. I'm hoping that at some point they'll update their app and add that ability for their earbuds, but sadly we don't have that at this time. Now, I'm bringing these things up in hopes that Soundpeats hear me and they can make a better product for all of their customers. So now let's go ahead and get into some microphone samples for those who like to take phone calls with their earbuds. All right, so here we have the microphone test for the Soundpeats Opera05. So testing, 1, 2, 3. As you can see, I'm indoors in a semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. And here we have the Soundpeats Opera05 in the simulated crowd noise environment. So something like a busy bar, a crowded restaurant, or something along those lines. So testing, 1, 2, 3. With that out of the way, let's get into the pricing. So super early bird backers will get $30 off of retail price. There will be limited availability at this price point. The Opera 5s will be $69 with that discount, and the Opera 3s will be $49. The Kickstarter special will save you $20 off of the retail price. So if you don't make that super early bird, you can still get a pretty decent discount. Opera 5 will be going for $79. Opera 3 will be going for $59. So if you're interested in backing Soundpeats over on Kickstarter, check out the links that I'm going to leave for you in the video description. Now, for full disclosure, this video was sponsored by Soundpeats. Despite this, they received no rights for copy approval and were not allowed to see this video prior to it being published. They are watching this video at the same time that you are. As such, I'm still free to tell you how I truly feel about these earbuds, whether good or bad. I'm telling you all of this because I believe in transparency and honesty with you as the viewer. As always, please be sure to watch multiple reviews before making that final purchase decision. Now, with that said, my name is Jefe, and I'm out this bitch.